Taking a break from my usual Calgary sports content, and it's been a while since I've actually added another video into my personal blog playlist. Hi there, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I believe it's been a few years since I've actually added another video to the personal blog playlist, but it's just the nature of how my content has come out. Let's go up to personal blog number 106. I'm going to call this one Don't Miss Working on Boxing Day. Yeah, as I am recording this on Boxing Day, day after Christmas Day, and Boxing Day is a day in the British Commonwealth nations, and kind of layman's way of packing up for boxing from Christmas feast to the peasants back in the old days, if you look it up. But the big thing that Boxing Day now is in the modern world, especially in Canada, as we observe Boxing Day, the day after Christmas Day, is a big day for shopping, yeah. However, this guy was on the other side of the trenches, and it's still been well over 20 years. Actually, I think this will be 19 years, was last year. I worked on Boxing Day, both in terms of being in the retail environment as a cashier, or working security in said retail environment as one of my crummy jobs while I was going to school in college. So, sitting, I got blue and red lights for this one, in the red corner and in the blue corner, like in a boxing ring. Well, definitely felt like that working on Boxing Day in retail, and I'm going to say things might have changed a little bit. Probably going to say when I worked in retail, it was probably towards the end of, let's say, the golden age, when people had more money to spend, and the fact that there's more retail options, especially online. But I know that I worked retail as a cashier at a defunct big box store called Zellers up in Canada. You can probably say it's kind of like the Canadian Walmart, if you can say that, just a general big box store that had a history. Of course, the other thing that people are nostalgic for with Zellers in Canada is the old family restaurant, and it's your typical greasy spoon family restaurant where you get your burgers, and that in some way, actually, Zellers was all part of the Hudson's Bay Company, which is the oldest company in North America. You could say Zellers, in a small way, has made a comeback as more of a pop-up store in Hudson's Bay stores, but I'm still calling it the Bay, because all these years we called it the Bay, and I know it's also associated with Saks and Fifth Avenue, but I did work cashier in Zellers. Actually, yes, I managed to work through 3 Christmas seasons, because I started working there in 2001, and I went through Christmas 2002, and Christmas season in 2003. Actually, no, I lied. Actually, I went 2 Christmases, because in 2003, that was when I switched from working at Zellers as a cashier to become a security guard. This is all during when I was going to college, so already you have the stress of working retail and not getting paid enough while being overworked by customers and management, and then same with exams and all that. But I also know when I worked security in a retail environment, some of the jobs that I've done working security in a retail environment is occasionally I did patrol a mall, but not on Boxing Day. But more so as a store in a mall, line like security guards in their store at the front door. So I remember one year I worked security at a Sport Check, and then another year was like some other clothing store, a big clothing store in both at Chinook Center both years. And I'm going to say those malls are definitely much, much busier in Calgary, especially Chinook Center being, the biggest shopping center. Calgary and kind of the premier tourist destination. And keep in mind, this is before Cross Mills was open just north of Calgary when it opened in 2009. I understand now, even with online shopping and the fact that you got still people apparently still with some money. Yeah, I do have, got some money for Christmas, but I'm actually in the process of wanting to get rid of stuff. Not getting more stuff, and when I got too many other financial obligations, and I think now heading into 2025 with the rising cost of living, inflation, and that, you almost got to wonder how come Boxing Day doesn't apply to everyday essentials, because it used to be that's the time when people like to go out and buy big ticket items, which I have a harder time, for and then. Don't need that. I mean, still could use a new washer and dryer, but the one I need is, expensive, and even then I still need to arrange to get the old ones taken out, delivered, installed, and all that, and just find the time and money and the day to do that. And when you're busy and always working, that makes it a struggle. But all I remember when I worked Boxing Day is just the extra stress of the crowds and that on the day, people not showing manners anymore, and pressure from management, and then you're already exhausted because you're working right up till Christmas Eve, so you barely get one whole day during Christmas Day to spend with your family. And I remember those years when I worked, retail or security, I was, too tired to even enjoy Christmas in a way, knowing that the next day, early in the morning, I had to go back to work on Boxing Day, and I was finding, the pressure with school, and then getting ready for the next semester while in college. There was never really a winter break, which is why I try to enjoy my winter break now. So I definitely have sympathy for the retail workers right now, being overworked, underpaid, getting no respect. I mean, yeah, there's good customers, obviously, but unfortunately, you're going to remember the ones that, ruin your day or all that. The Karens that we call them now. Should make that a legitimate punishment for Karens now, that instead of going to jail, they should force them to work retail during, the holiday season and Boxing Day, which maybe that could, put some perspective and slap them across the face, literally and figuratively, that you need to show more respect to all those who work retail, have to deal with you, give up time, with their friends and family and lives, which we all seem to do. And then the fact that if many of them are school-age college students, they also got to worry about, their academics and that, and their future, that now it seems like there's not as much hope for these days. But Boxing Day, while I still do not miss working on Boxing Day, I find that when it comes to, those deals that, people start camping out at 2, 3 in the morning for these deals, I actually find the deals aren't really that much more spectacular on Boxing Day than it is like any other time of the year. And in some way you might see just as good or better deals after New Year's, once you get into the dull months of January or February, and then with more retail stores either closing or restructuring, you can always wait for liquidation, and even then now you have online shopping. But the other thing that's come more up in Canada, and it kind of started with back when the Canadian dollar and the US dollar were close to the par, where at some point you actually looked like it was a better deal. Here in Calgary, it's still at least 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours just to get to the border, and then another couple hours to get to a major center to do some online shopping. But I know if you go, let's say in the Greater Toronto area, in that Golden Horseshoe area in Ontario, where it's even closer to get to the border, that Black Friday has been a bigger deal in Canada. I'm trying to get deals ahead of Boxing Day, which kind of almost gets to the point of back to not missing the working that day. But Black Friday, when I was working retail or security, wasn't a thing in Canada even be observed or promoted, because it was still just an American thing, because after American Thanksgiving, and we always call it American Thanksgiving in Canada because just distinguished, because Thanksgiving up in Canada, given our harvest seasons earlier, we have Thanksgiving on the second Monday of October, while in the US they have their Thanksgiving on the last Thursday of November. So we just distinguish it between the differences. And then you have Black Friday, which kind of unofficially starts off their shopping season, Christmas holiday shopping season in the US, but it was only to entice people to stay on this side of the border to try to spend their money in Canada. So Black Friday has come in a lot more, and it's become more of a thing every year because they're trying to stay competitive as well. But you still get those busy spikes, and I do still see footage. You always get the news reports. They always go to the major shopping centers in the city that they're reporting from. I know, for example, in Toronto, they always like to go to the Yorkdale Mall, which I didn't go there when I went to Toronto, but I understand it's like one of the bigger shopping centers in the Toronto area. And I know personally in Calgary, you could say the prime shopping centers, the Chinook Center, even Market Mall, both are managed by the Calic Fairview, so it's the major retail shopping chain in Canada. And then you get Crossyard Mills, I see the traffic backed up. Sometimes traffic gets backed up just on a regular Saturday, but even more on Boxing Day. But personally, where I live, just outside of downtown near SAIT, the North Hills Center, that'd probably be a perfect mall to go to on Boxing Day, where it's not as busy, just given most of the people that shop in that area and the area in general. So I just still feel it's changing the way where you got more online shopping, more sales throughout the year, and the fact that you got online shopping, always stores. It seems like more stores are closing or restructuring, that you get just as good of deals almost year-round where you can look. And ultimately, at the end of the day, a deal is only a deal when you absolutely need it, have a use for it, and can afford it. I think gone are the days where you can just flash something's on sale and people suddenly are excited. They hear the S word, sale, and it's like, oh my God, let's trample over people. And you still see those old scenes back in the many years ago, where people barely open up the stores and the retail employees go smack over like a herd of animals for a stampede. Or some people, you gotta wonder, are gonna be dead. And I'm thinking that's definitely what we call it, first world or developed nation problem. But it's gotten somewhat sad over the years, where people are so madly in conservatism. But being someone that I've been on the other side of the trenches, maybe that makes me more humble, especially retail. Like, you have to really, really absurdly screw up for me to really, scald you in retail. But if it's just like a little thing, I'll let it more slide, just because I was on the other side of it and I had to deal with it, and both from management and customers. Well, at the time when I was working retail, there was no $15 minimum wage. I was making just half that, and trying to struggle with that while going to school and while trying to balance all that. I didn't have the luxury of having a $15 minimum wage. Yeah, I was fortunate enough that I still was able to live at home with my folks while I was going to school. But even then, it's still a struggle with that, with dealing with the stress and of being overworked and underpaid. And you gotta wonder, why are these places, worried about supposedly having staffing shortages when, people are always in and out. And then now it seems like with too much immigration, it's only seemed to be a certain number of people that get those jobs and fill those jobs because they get generous benefits. But that's a discussion for the other day. But like to say, me personally, I definitely don't miss working Boxing Day. for that kind of job. I mean, there's some people that work Boxing Day because of the nature of the job. If they work in a factory or a mill, or thanks to all their first responders, I mean, that's the nature of the job that they sign for. But hopefully those jobs, they pay a little better than working retail and nature, especially for a first responder. It's what happens. But even then, maybe those first responders, they still have to somehow have to be able to have to manage to deal with crap that retail workers have to deal with in a retail environment, because I'm sure a lot of the calls that some first responders get, they need to go into that said environment. And I don't have boxing gloves to show off, but sometimes literally Boxing Day is boxing, where you're either in the red corner, you have the retail workers. In the blue corner, you got the customers, and then you just need the, Mr. Buffer saying, now let's get ready to rumble. Except it's not fun. I mean, it might be fun. Some people proudly shop on Boxing Day, but if I do shop on Boxing Day, I either do it online, and me personally today I was able to get a decent deal, or actually was able to get 20% off my ticket to the Calgary Roughnecks home opener, but I was able to do all that online and not need to have to camp out at the big box store, wait in line and dearly box and fight with traffic or people, or not everybody's rich and owns a car and have to worry about getting a parking spot. But well, if you take transit, you're always going to the mall anyway from the back of the parking lot. So yeah, do you have any Boxing Day memories, both working or shopping? Hopefully, if you've done both, you're tried to be respectful. But I feel that working both retail and security, and in being in security in a retail environment, especially during the holiday season and on Boxing Day, when you're working right up to the big day and you barely get one day to, and you rather spend it collapsing knowing you have to get up for Boxing Day after the stress of trying to get school done. And at least with college, you know that you're done the semester and the new one starts in January. It still was messed up during high school, where I got winter break. At that time, when I was still in high school, I worked at a movie theater, in the discount movie theater, Movie Dome, that is at the Pacific Place Mall. If you're familiar with Calgary, on 36th Street near 12th Avenue, it's near Marble Mall, the Northeast, the ghetto. Ooh, the ghetto. We're close to where I grew up. It was always hit or miss with movies then, but then getting back to it, that during the holiday season, you had a little bit of a break, but then I had to go back and worry about writing my exams in January, which I still say I'd rather have it done, say it's done in December and start fresh in the new year. But just the way how the school year is broken up, but that's how it worked with me while I was going to college. So I wouldn't say it's a rant, but just something to put in the personal vlog playlist, that I don't miss working on Boxing Day, and I'm sure many can relate that were literally in my shoes, in the trenches, as someone who worked in it. Unless you were, an overpaid manager or owner. I like to say, as a joke, that if I had an independent store, if I was in a mall, I'll do the anti-Boxing Day sale. I would raise my prices just on Boxing Day because the demand is higher. Just, as a joke, I shall say, because you're forcing me to still work on Boxing Day, which, let's say, I don't miss. So as I close it out, as I want to say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, just make sure you hit like, subscribe. I have my other social media links down in the description below. Do you miss working on Boxing Day, or do you definitely don't miss working on Boxing Day? So I just want to say thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.